But they started out, that was June 11th, is what it was on Dynamite, with the long awaited rematch between Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. And we know what's been going on over the past several weeks is Ospreay's trying to get Swerve and Paige to be on the same page so that they can all band together and fight Moxley, because this is our last chance. We all have to work together. Even though that none of the baby faces ever accomplish anything except all over each other. And meanwhile, this fucking decrepit world champion they've got just goes and then chokes out the remains afterwards. But nevertheless, the story is not the match here. The story is the overdone goddamn finish and afterbirth and continuing. I don't know what. They started the thing with a Western swing dancing routine, and it's a 4-hour show because they're doing the AEW Dynamite and Collision doubleheader. And I knew this was going to take a while, so I thought I'd just skip ahead to the finish because that's where we get to the meat of the matter. Because let's face it, folks, if you like this kind of thing, this is the kind of thing you like. But I went 25 minutes ahead and I'm like, what in the world? Are they going to go an hour? And I stopped at about 25 minutes in and they were trading forearms. It figures. So apparently the announcers are now mentioning, well, we've only got a few minutes remaining in the time limit. So they're going to go 30 minutes. At 28 minutes, Ospreay hit Swerve Strickland with both of his finishers, one after another. The fucking elbow thing, and then where he picks the guy up and spins him around and drops him on his head thing. 2 count. And I've already mentioned that Swerve had his chance. He's not nearly as over as he used to be, although they love the chant. But good God, if they could have just cleared the path for Ospreay to go to the stadium and beat this fucking idiot and win that title, you might have something. Ospreay, whether it's his own doing or whether people are trying to sabotage him, I don't know who's calling all this, but they're wearing the new off of him quick, Brian. They are just beating the fucking they're wearing out the new car smell. They're putting dings on his body. So after Swerve kicked out of both of Ospreay's finishes, they grabbed a hold and laid there for a while because apparently they're early on their timing. They were supposed to be at a certain place at a certain time, and they still had more time left. So they laid there for a while. Then Ospreay milked whether or not that he should give Swerve the Tiger Driver. Like that's worse than any of the other goddamn goofy-ass dangerous shit they do to each other. Oh, Lord, throwing him off the stage through the exploding table, well, that's one thing, but goddamn, don't give him that fucking Tiger Driver. So he's deciding whether he should do that, and then he tried to do it, but his arm gave out. And then Swerve gave Ospreay a big move on his head. And then he gave Ospreay the kick to the head. But then Swerve, who was just on offense for 2 big moves, gave him a big move on his head, jumped up, ran across the ring, gave him the kick in the head. Then he laid there selling too. Selling what? You just kicked the guy in the fucking head. And they both rolled to the apron. See, this is key. They got to be on the apron. And then Swerve took forever. And when I say forever, if anybody wants to go back and watch this and put a stopwatch on it, you might need a sundial. Because he knows that he's got to be up on top when the bell rings. And so he's taken forever to get up there, and poor Ospreay has to sit there on the apron in position to take the double stomp, which is just roll away. Just roll away. But as Swerve is standing on the top rope and Ospreay is there waiting to be beaten by his goddamn finish, the double stomp off the top onto the apron, the bell rings and it's a 30-minute draw. Now, bear in mind, both of them should have been counted out of the ring, and it should have been over a minute before that when they were both laying on the apron, but that wasn't the finish they'd figured, so the referee was helpless. And so, and also, by the way, it made you realize that even more because the announcers were talking about how much time had expired and how much time was left. And while they were laying on a fucking apron, it wasn't a 10 count, it was a minute and a half count. So the point is now what we've got is a situation where Ospreay has given this guy his best shit, can't beat him. And the way we left the draw was that Swerve was about to execute him, but the bell rang before he could chop his head off. Is that the way that you make your alleged top babyface in any way attractive to the public, Brian?
You know, I was thinking that's kind of a disappointing finish, all things considered. It's a bit of a letdown. And then they somehow made it a whole lot worse, it seemed, for those fans with the post-match. I'll say my least favorite thing has become Swerve's, I guess, the most prominent one where you see it because it takes him a little while. It did here. But, you know, other people do the move, but it was so bad here with Ospreay, where the guy's going for the stomp and the downed opponent can't be down because they'll die if the guy lands on him with their feet.
Yeah.
So they have to kind of lean up a little bit to kind of cushion the blow. But it was taking so long, so 3 different times, Ospreay's like sitting up like the Undertaker in slow motion. And he's just sitting there, like a great ab workout, but it took so long, and I don't like that. Because you don't sell anything else like that.
Stare up.
Yeah, there's nothing else that is sold like that. There's nothing else where all of a sudden you're leaning up and coming back to life and just waiting there in suspended animation for Swerve to come stomp you. And the fans there liked it. The match until
no, they did. They booed the draw. They booed the finish.
Until the finish, they liked it. It's that kind of thing. But how is this helpful in any way? 2 baby faces wrestling this match, doing everything, a half hour. And again, Ospreay, for a while, it's Swerve never wins. Now it's Ospreay never wins.
Well, hold on, because Ospreay's going to look a whole lot stupider and worse here in a minute. Because now remember, I'm checking my notes. When last we saw Ospreay take any punishment, Swerve gave him the big move on his head and the kick to the head. And then they both sold, and then Swerve went to the top rope. So the last minute and a half, Ospreay was selling. Well, then Swerve gets on the fucking mic. And he wants a restart. He wants more time. He wants sudden death. And Ospreay's rolled out on the floor, and he's selling, but he's looking. You get a camera shot of Ospreay looking at Swerve. He's cognizant. He's conscious. And Swerve saying, I feel like shit, and I know you do too, but if you're the man I think you are, you're going to want sudden death. And you see Ospreay hear this, and then the music plays. And here come Dick the Boozer and the Boar Horseman, slowly and boringly walking through the arena. Swerve is in the ring. Ospreay's still on the floor. And we're not going to see Ospreay for a while. Because as the Moxley bunch surrounds the ring, all of a sudden, into the ring from behind Swerve come the Cucamonga Kids, the Hardley Boys, the Lollipop Guild, Maddie and Nikki. And they jump on Swerve and they super kick Nana one time and he's dead. You'll never see him again. And then they handcuff Swerve to the ropes in the corner while Moxley is on the floor for some reason making goofy faces just at random. And then the Buckaroos super kick Swerve several times. And then they get a duffel bag. I think from Wheeler Useless. And they pulled out tennis shoes with thumbtacks on the bottom of them. And then these guys, and they're taking forever. They have to take their regular shoe off and put the thumbtack shoes on. And then they go for the super kick on Swerve with the thumbtack shoes. Bear in mind, from the time that the previous match was over, it's been 4 minutes. And before that, Ospreay was selling for 1.5 minutes, right? We established that before the end of the match. But we also saw him looking at Swerve in a state of consciousness when Swerve was challenging him. Ospreay just jumps in right at this point and stands up in front of Swerve, and they kick him with the thumbtack shoes. So he's been sitting on the floor for 4 minutes watching all this shit go on, and just then jumped in. And then the Bucks, and they act like, oh, should we have done that? And the doctor jumps in and puts a fucking washcloth over Ospreay's face because the announcer said, oh my God, Ospreay's gushing blood. No, he's not. Because it's a fake kick with fake shoes, and the doctor put the fucking cloth over his face so you could see it was fake, or you couldn't see it was fake. And the fans are chanting, fuck the Bucks. They're not even trying to censor fuck anymore now on TBS. And in the middle of all this, Moxley's bunch just disappeared. They never did anything, and they were never referred to again. And by the time all this was over with, the match and all that bullshit, we were 45 minutes into the show. So, Brian, what... After Ospreay does everything and can't beat the guy, and then the guy's ready to kill Ospreay, and the only thing that saves him is the bell. And then Ospreay rolls out on the floor and lets all this other shit go on with these other fucking heels before he jumps in to sacrifice himself. Fuck, he could have called 911 from the floor and the cops would have been there quicker, and he rolled in. And then they do a fake angle and they take him out with a goddamn cloth over his face so you can't see that the thumbtack soled tennis shoes that he was kicked with are phony. What'd you think?
Again, the match was the match. The post-match went on forever. As soon as they start playing that music, it's kind of perfect for the Death Riders because it's just lazy, like lazy guitar. Nobody wants to hear it. No one reacts to them coming out there. And then the Bucks, somehow the Bucks are even less over than the Moxley crew. And the stupid thing with the super kicks, how long did that go on? One after another. Why is Swerve standing up? Why does Swerve keep standing up to set himself up to be kicked in the face? Stay down.
Turn around and stick your ass up in the air.
I know you're handcuffed, but don't stick your chin up. I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, I don't know. They're trying to make their heels really strong going into that big event. The problem is they got the wrong heels. And all the baby faces fight each other.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. The only people that baby faces can beat are each other. And they always lose everything.